I have zero clue what I'm doing, but I do have duct tape, ambition, and a camera. So yeah, we're building it anyways. Now that I have your attention, let me tell you what's going on in the world of business. When you're building a product in 90 days, it's a mad sprint. You have 110 things that you have to go and do, and every time you finish one thing, you realize there's 3 more. It's basically like Medusa. Cut off one head, 5 more appear. But we are making some pretty good progress, and we have to, because we're now down, was it 22 days down? We're down 22 days. But in this week, we have established a few good things. We're gonna be talking a little bit about the budget, how much we expect this project to cost us. We have a much better product design than that hunk of plastic you've been seeing me with. And the guys are now in China, going from factory to factory, hardware floor to find the right components so we can bring it all together just in time for launch. And I want to start off by telling you a little bit about some of the fun stuff that I get to work on, which is everything from design, brand, and even this content series that we have now rolled out. Let me tell you about one of the first things people notice when they interact with Lost Labs. So here were some fonts I found that I thought were kind of fun.
You're reading my mind again. Nick and I had a long fonts conversation the other day. Yeah. So Garamond was the original font from the 1984 Mac ad.
Yep.
This is Advocase is a play on Garamond. I like it.
So what do you think when you think about fonts there? Tell me about that, Jer.
I believe that communication should be beautiful, and that like minimalism and like everything being sans serif and Helvetica Neue just sort of like strips away the potential to have joy in reading.
This frame right here is very on point with what I like. Like big font, big lettering, symmetrical placements of things.
Yes, that's great.
Even the film burn sort of like vintage vibe. I don't know if it's the vibe we go with, but I do like it. Now a logo, a font, a color, it's important, but you don't want to lose all your time here. It's not going to make or break your successful product. But one thing that will be a make or break is our ability to tell this story. And as I think you can see, we're putting a lot of energy into sharing every step of this journey, because I believe that this is going to be a series that people will look back on one day to either say, wow, that was the moment something incredible was set in motion, or oh my God, what an explosion and a mess that was, and it was all documented. Either way, I'm aiming for the earlier one, and whether this product is a knockout success or not, this series is full of gold. And one of the things I want to share with you is the social media strategy. I'm going to go in depth in our community group and our email newsletter. So if this is something you dig, you enjoy, you'll definitely want to sign up below. But the main thing is we're going to be cross-platform, and we have to be. You see, YouTube is my comfort space. I feel really good here. But the problem with YouTube is that it's a long burn game. Very seldom do you get a viral hit on your first, your 10th, or even your 50th upload. But while you might not get virality on YouTube, oftentimes you get building momentum. You see, as 1 or 2 videos start to do a bit better than the others, you kind of create this spider web that brings people in, and it gets people caught into your spider series. And this gets people to watch not just episode 5 that started reaching more people, but actually they're gonna go back to episode 1, episode 2, 3, 4, 5, and next thing you know, they're watching it the same way they're currently watching Severance, in between work breaks, on their way home from work, or right before bed as they're procrastinating going to sleep. And it's very hard for YouTube to have sexy views. Those 6-figure and up type of views are not easy to come by on YouTube. For a lot of people, that's super discouraging. They see that and they're like, I'm gonna go stick it out with a reel. I'm gonna go post on TikTok. I've had a viral video go up there before, and I've never seen it happen for me on YouTube. And they give up. But the thing that is really wrong in that perspective is that you're actually overlooking the importance of every single view. You're overlooking the level of commitment you get from a viewer on long form versus what you get on short form. You see, on short form, think about it. You scroll, and I bet you can't even remember a single short form video you watched yesterday. But if you watched a long form video, it leaves an imprint. It's something that sticks with you. And if it's the right message and a well-told story, I believe it can transform somebody. It's hard to do that with short. What I'm saying here is that we have to be prepared. This long form series is not going to be an overnight banger. It's going to take time. But if by the end of 90 days, we have 10,000 people that are like, yeah, that's my series. I dig it. I'm enjoying it. I watch every upload. I will see that as a success. 10,000 screaming fans, over 1 million impressions every single day. On the other hand, we also want to reach people in the places we think we need to reach people. And that's going to be short form. You see, I think our product is actually extremely built for short form enthusiasts, people that make TikTok videos, Instagram videos, people that shoot short form. After all, we are making a mobile videography kit. And while some long form users do shoot on a mobile phone, I would say most short form creators do use their mobile phones. So we need to make sure we're also talking to that audience. And I know Reels, it's where I'm most comfortable, but frankly, we have to go beyond that. We're gonna be posting on TikTok. We're gonna get our series on LinkedIn, on X, and we're gonna see what happens here, because I think that platforms like X and LinkedIn are actually really well suited for the series. An entrepreneurial step-by-step journey told in a fun and creative way, I think is gonna really resonate with those entrepreneurs, those people who are stuck in a 9-to-5 and wishing they could get out. Well, we're gonna show them how. With that though, you can imagine that every one of these platforms takes time, attention, and also requires somebody to actually manually upload, caption, add a song in some cases, and hit publish, and that's a lot of work. So just the other day, I was going through my network and trying to figure out a way how we can not only find someone to upload, but make sure it's happening from the US, because that is the market we wanna be most active in. And the problem with some platforms, TikTok in particular, it is very geo-specific. It is tailored to the region in which you upload it. And yeah, you might download a VPN and make your location America, but TikTok is unfortunately a little smarter than that. Even having an American SIM card with an American location on your VPN is not enough. So we're going to have somebody hired to do this. And right now I've just been quoted $1,200 a month to upload daily on several different accounts from directly in San Francisco, which is a lot of money, but I think it makes sense. And this is something the team and I have been crunching the numbers on. Nick in particular, he's basically becoming like our financial officer, and he will share with you more on our budget later. But the idea here is you gotta spend to earn sometimes. And when you're building a business, these investments can really help. In the newsletter, I'm gonna be going over things like ManyChat, how I'm using short form to basically build our email list. I think we're just now about to pass our 1,000th email or so. We're getting quite close to that mark, which is really exciting. Our goal in 90 days is to launch a physical hardware product, build the starting point of $1 million brand, and my financial hope is that at the very least, as we get to the next stages in the next couple weeks here, we have a pre-order that allows us to mostly cover costs of development and make sure that at the very least, when we hit the ground running and launch in 90 days, we have the finances to not only cover the costs, but of course also have a little bit in the coffers. I don't know exactly how long it'll take for this to become a $1 million product, but the $1 million product will be built in these 90 days. And that's something I'm really excited about. But this update isn't just here in Bali, it's also heading now over to China. Let me show you where Jer's at right now with our newest product.
Last week, I invented a new kind of friction hinge and released it for prototype. Those prototypes are going to be ready tomorrow in Shenzhen. So we're going to go to Shenzhen tomorrow, Tuesday, check them out, verify that the design actually generates sufficient friction to support the iPhone. That's kind of the big challenge of this whole product. I'd say that's challenge number one. Thing number two was figuring out just like an overall aesthetic, form factor, and feel for this product. So that's what I've been doing a lot of today, is adding appropriate curvatures so that it fits really nicely onto the regular size iPhone and can be very pocketable. And once I have that sense of like, okay, now I've got a friction hinge that works, now I've got an overall direction for aesthetics, that allows me to start working on other details. One thing we just identified today with Nick was like, the current keep out zone that I've got with the design as I have it is only about 1 millimeter short of what it would need to be to fit a credit card. Being able to fit credit cards would allow us to do a wallet attachment. So that's like one of the updates I'm going to be making. But yeah, just really kind of like pushing through all of that. I think I'm going to push this to try to release another set of parts tonight so that by Friday, we can actually get our first complete prototype out of aluminum. That's going to be a really important milestone to have a complete prototype made from aluminum, because that's when we can start testing our friction hinge, our aesthetic, our keep out zones, plus just the usage and how does the whole thing feel with an iPhone, be able to actually carry those prototypes around with us and start using them on a day-to-day basis. It's sort of an EVT1. That would be kind of like an early EVT1. Oh, and perhaps really critically, and I should have said this at the beginning, source an LCD screen and really start chatting with those vendors and figure out what's possible. I do believe this tiny little keep out zone, in time, we can turn this into a really thin, really nice LCD screen. I don't think that we can do that within 90 days. I think that's a little tight schedule-wise, but we can definitely do something with an LCD screen within 90 days. And we can also definitely do something with a wallet attachment within 90 days. That's quite easy. We can probably do things with batteries and stuff like that within 90 days. So, you know what? Honestly, if anything, I want to try to get like a wallet attachment that wouldn't even need to be sold separately. That could just be in the standard kit. Like if you get a standard off-the-shelf kit for $79, you get this complete stand with a wallet insert, is just what shows up in the box. And then when you want to put the LCD screen in, you pop your wallet out and stick the LCD screen in instead. And then your standard wallet insert is this size, which would fit like a few credit cards and, but that would be cool. That I could start using like every day. That'd be really fun.
Yeah.
Ooh, now I'm excited. All right, back to work.
This is episode 3, and I honestly think this is some of the coolest stuff I have ever created. I freaking love this style of entrepreneurship, and it's something that I wished I had when I was younger. And just the other day, I was having a meeting with Nick and Jer. Nick and Jer and I were trying to figure out, where do we host our community? Where do we bring people together that is going to create conversation and allow you to build with us? And while I do believe it's important to be capturing emails, the truth is you can't have a back and forth on emails. If we want to have you participate in our new logo design, which by the way, some pretty cool submissions. This is your last chance to join in and win that giant grand prize. It's a life-changing one. Fine print right here. We needed a space where people could hang out and truly meet each other. And I have tried to build communities on Discord. I've tried it on Facebook groups. I've tried it in so many different places. And what may work 5 years ago, like Facebook, doesn't really work anymore. People don't really use the platform anymore. And when I launched a Discord group for my creator community, many people found Discord to be a little bit too techy, a little bit too clunky of an experience. But no matter what platform you pick, honestly, the number one thing I've learned is that the best platform is often the one that's already a part of your daily life. And that's why we chose to go with WhatsApp community has been game-changing for my business, and I think that even if we have those core 1,000 people that snowball, we can tell people with the upcoming short form, this just happened in our community group, and people will be like, wait, how do I get in there?
The real-time feedback. Yeah, this is way better than a type form.
I agree. Yeah, Christian, we should absolutely do this. I am fully on board with it. We can do lots here. I actually think this is a great idea. Let's do a WhatsApp group. I love the idea of us actually talking to people.
Now it's a beautiful thing. We've got our first faces in the community, and I'd love to see you in there too. So if you want to join us, the link is down below, lostlabs.co. Join the email newsletter, and of course, jump into the WhatsApp community. Not only is it a chance to meet the others, but it's also an opportunity to get your first priority on the product when it ends up shipping. And I would love to tell you what the product has been named, but that'll have to wait. We might need to quickly trademark that.
Here? Okay. Wonderful. Oh, thank you so much. Well, we're missing some hardware.
You're back in this crazy looking plaza here. Look at this. A lot of stuff going on around here.
Yeah. A lot of cool products.
Yeah, there's like electronics all around us in these little markets.
So we're gonna try to find some LCD screens for the back of an iPhone.
Yeah.
See if we can find some good samples, good vendors. One of the things I love about being here in Watchung Bay is the actual factories will set up these kind of little booths here. So you can go to a booth, see the actual products, and then get the car to the factory themselves. Be able to go really all the way to the vendor all in one shot. So it's just an awesome place to meet vendors.
Is this?
Oh, we don't have.
No? Do you know anyone who has?
Near building.
Where?
Next building.
Next building?
Yeah.
So good. I feel like a kid in a candy store when I'm here. I'm like, oh, batteries! For the mission.
Yeah.
Find an LCD
Thing we're
screen.
looking for.
Thumb screws. Exactly what I needed. It's a beautiful evening for some engineering.
手机背面的 LCD 屏幕。
So we finally found an LCD screen. Oh, interesting. Wow, that's really interesting that it's like the whole, like, from this angle, I can't see it all that well. So the angle that you can see the LCD is really important.
Yep.
That's actually pretty decent resolution.
Yeah.
That's kind of nice. But notice how they're not using the whole LCD. It's like cut out here and here.
Yeah.
So like that's a thing we would want to do in hardware is like the punch outs. Now you can see how thick this thing is too, by the way. This is what I was saying.
Yeah.
Of like, see how much thicker that is?
Yeah.
Almost fits, but not quite. But see how that.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, and so then looking at this packaging, this is exactly the kind of thing that we could white label. Got the parts, so it's good. Our next goal was to get an LCD screen. Check, we got an LCD screen. We give ourselves a B because I didn't want to only find an LCD screen, I wanted to find a manufacturer for LCD screens. That's a B. We have a lead on finding a manufacturer, but not a full manufacturer yet. I think an A or an A plus would have been finding multiple LCD screens from multiple vendors with multiple manufacturer contacts. That would be an A or an A plus. That did not happen.
Considering the challenge, that really was needle in the haystack. We're looking for an accessory that's not very common. Not many people would know about LCD back camera like accessories.
I was surprised at how uncommon it was. And so like it's an interesting like indicator because a lot of stuff you see on Amazon, that you see on Temu, that like random people buy, it comes from here. I'll fly in it.
Yeah? Of course. You'll fit in? It's a pretty small chassis.
Could cut off these top 4 magnets, especially when you consider like we're loading it this way.
Now, the thing that you might be super curious to hear about is how much is it gonna cost to go out and build this? But this is where it started, with a spreadsheet and a hypothesis of how much this would cost us. So let's take a look.
The more we realize there's a lot of variability between kind of like target and like possible maximum costs. So I can run through everything in the hardware category. And of course, Nick's got some sort of targeted expenses there on e-com. So EVT1, that's the prototype I'm doing the design work for right now. I had to just sort of guess what I think each of these aluminum components is going to cost in the turnaround times. I think I could keep it below $2,000, but I might be guessing wrong. Could be as much as $3,000. LCD samples, based on what I've seen, these are about in the sort of $25 a piece range off Alibaba. If I grab 10 of them, it's $250. But you know, maybe I run into some roadblocks with factories that incur slight additional expenses. But we'll see. Always miscellaneous. This is like nuts, bolts, screws, random stuff like that. Mechanical engineering support, I am going to spend this $1,000 for sure. My buddy Matt Leance is advising me. We've already done a couple hours. It is just game-changing having another engineer looking over my stuff. They're mirrored here. The LCD sample side is pretty variable because by the time we get to EVT2, I want to have a factory selected. And depending on the deal that gets done, some factories will be like, oh, sure, we'll just do this stuff for free because we really believe in your project. That's best case. Worst case is they say, hey, we'll do this, but we want to charge you non-recurring engineering fees, which gut feel $1,500 will probably cover, but it's really depending on what we're asking them to do and keeping that scope constrained.
Yep.
So it's target of 0. Electrical engineering support, this is where we're getting into that LCD screen. Definitely need to be hiring an American or at least an engineer I know and trust to be double checking all the work from the factory, because that is the number one thing that gets picked up. A couple days of work if I can get a sweetheart deal from one of my Shenzhen guys, which is all you really need to do that review.
So this meeting got a little long and honestly a little bit challenging if you're not from this world, like myself. So I thought this might be a better way to go through it. But basically, this here is the target. We hope that we maintain these prices. On the right-hand side, these are the higher end estimations. And this section right here, this is basically, as you can see, category hardware, everything that we expect to go into the building of the final product. That includes the LCD, that includes the legs, and that includes a cohesive design that brings these two components together. And then we also have a category here of research ads, web design. Essentially, we're going to be running paid ads to get this product running, and we'll be sharing every step of that. That is going to be Nick's domain, where he's going to be really building the best conversion rates possible, A/B testing, but that's a story for another day. This cost here of actually building out the hardware conservatively is going to be under $10,000. Right here, the estimate is $8,500. And as of right now, Jer has received several aluminum samples. He has gone back and forth a couple times now with vendors, and his prices have actually been overestimated. So it's actually coming in cheaper, which is awesome. Throw in the advertising costs, researching ads, making sure that we have the right copy, the right strategy. We'll probably bring in an outside company for that, and that's where we have another extremely substantial investment of $5,000. So what really drives up the cost here on this side is third-party companies, bringing in outside electrical engineers to make sure we don't have any issues with heat dissipation. On the other hand, we could bring outside designers and mechanical engineers to make sure the hardware is as robust as possible, but this is also Jer's forte. It's all going to come down to how confident are we in the final product once Jer has taken it as far as he can. If we still think we need support, then that's where we start moving to the right. Costs will increase. Now, there is one last thing missing here from this budget sheet, and that's going to be the content costs. So any of my expenses, from having one of my teammates running part-time on helping me edit out the long form series, to also the expense that we talked about earlier of having someone post from America 7 days a week. Now, I have one more update, and that is that as of yesterday, I just booked a flight to Hong Kong. And it's going to be incredibly exciting because next week I touch down, and immediately the guys and I are headed off to Shenzhen, visit some factories, push that product concept even further, and figure out what are the best components, the best suppliers, and the best supply chain to be able to manufacture this thing so that in no time we are building $1 million product. And I want to share that entire journey with you. In fact, I'd love for you to help us build it. So join the community, check that link down below, and see you next week.